In this tutorial, we're going to look at how you can access the large database of renewable and other systems that come with Carbon Mixer, how this links to the internet, allowing you to find out more details about the systems and their suppliers, and how Carbon Mixer can obtain firm quotes from the suppliers for items that you've chosen to try in your project. I've already set up a base case here with a domestic building being supplied with energy by a gas boiler, an air conditioning system for cooling if required, and electricity from the grid. Let's have a look at the domestic building in some more detail. I'll open up the editor. We can see its floor plan is 10 metres by 5 metres. It's 2 stories, giving us 100 square metres in all. It's a detached building, meaning we have heat loss on all sides. The glazing is standard double glazing. We've got fairly standard levels of insulation in the walls and the roof and the floor. And we've got standard incandescent lighting represented by the standard SAP lighting. So what I'm going to do now is try some variations on this and see what that does for our CO2 emissions. So let's start with the lighting. I'm going to save a copy of this building. I'll call it Building Plus Improved Lighting. And using the Add to Scenario button here, I can generate a new scenario similar to the existing one, but using my new version of the building instead of the old one. So we'll do that, and you can see it on the right here. Initially it's showing us exactly the same CO2 emissions because we haven't actually saved anything. So going back to the lighting tab here, at the moment we've got 100% primary lighting system or incandescent lighting. We have the option of using SAP generic low energy lighting. I'm going to use some more specific low energy lighting. I'm going to use an LED, state-of-the-art LED lighting system. If I want to know more about that, the icon here has got the details hiding behind it. So there's all the parameters used for this lighting system, the name of the manufacturer, and a link to the web page with more details. So let's increase the amount of LED lighting we've got now up to 80% of the lighting being LED, leaving 20% still with the tungsten incandescent lighting. When I save, we should see the CO2 emissions come down. So I'll press the save button, and there we go. We've got a 10% reduction in CO2 emissions for just under £2,000 investment. Let's see what the payback is on that. We're getting an 11-year payback on that investment. Let's go back to the building editor. I'm going to reload our original building and save a copy of it again. And this time I'm going to call it Building Plus Improved Glazing. As before, I'll use the Add button to generate a new scenario, which will use our new copy of the building instead of the original one. Again, there's no change at the moment, so we'll go to the glazing tab here, and let's change the standard double glazing to some high performance double glazing. I'm going to go for this example here, which has a U value of 1.4, which is an improvement on the U value we had. This is all taken from our supplier's product database, so a wide range of windows to choose from. Again, if we click on the icon, we can find more details of this particular glazing type. We can see the manufacturer, and we can go to the website, the web page that has more information on this glazing type. So having improved the glazing, if we now save this copy of the building, we should see hopefully a reduction in the CO2 emissions. So I'll save it here, and yes, sure enough, we've got a smaller improvement. We've gone down from 6%, but a faster payback. That's paying back in 4 years if we use the higher spec option rather than the standard double glazing. So spending the extra money on the higher spec is returned in 4 years. I'll close the editor down now and go back and look at the site. I'm going to go back to our base case building again, the one we started with, and I'm going to take a copy of this scenario and I'm going to call it Building Plus PV, photovoltaic panel, because I want to add some items to the site now, and I'm going to choose a copy of our starting point to do that with. So here we are. We can see at the moment it's unchanged again from the base case. So let's try adding some photovoltaic panels. So we'll just take some out of the standard library. I'll just go with here we are, let's go with the first one, a well-orientated photovoltaic panel pointing south, and I'm going to add 5 square meters of those on the roof. So that's given us a 8% reduction in CO2 emissions for a £3,000 investment and a payback in 10 years. I'll do this one last time. I'll go back to our starting point again, add a new scenario. This time let's look at the effect of a wind turbine. Obviously I could do any combination of things at the same time, but for now we'll do them all in separate scenarios, one at a time, so we can see the individual effect. So here's our new scenario. We haven't yet added the wind turbine, so it's showing no difference. So again, we've got a database full of different options. I'm going to go for the smallest one. This is equivalent to a roof-mounted wind turbine. 3.5 meters per second wind speed assumed. That's fairly low wind speed, but perhaps representative of what you get in most urban areas where the wind generally isn't that good. So we'll add that, and we can see very long payback on this, 70-year payback. That would come down a lot if we felt we'd got better wind in the area. So for a higher average wind speed, we would see a much faster payback on the wind turbine. Well, we've got quite a few options there. We've used quite a few different bits of equipment and different products. It'd be nice to find out more about those. A couple of useful buttons to do that. If we click on the Product Web Pages button, here we see all of the products we've used that have web links get loaded up into your web browser. So we've got more information on the photovoltaic panels, on the glazing, on the lighting system, on the insulation that we chose, and on the boiler. Anything that there is a link, it will take you straight to the page, and you'll have a whole list of them. There are the wind turbines. So you can look and find out more there. Another way of finding out more information on the products you've chosen, I'll just close that, is the Get Quotes button. If we press on that, we get a list of all the products we've used, and the ones that we have a email contact for, we can choose to select as many of those as we want, and if I click the Generate Emails button, it will generate an email to the contact for each of the products we've chosen. Standard email asking for further details of a firm price in the context that we're using their product. As with all carbon mixer projects, we can do further analysis. Because this is a domestic building, we can look at how it's affected by building regulations, Code for Sustainable Homes. Because we're using renewable energy items, we can look at the effect of the feed-in tariff and how much money will be generated. Finally, as ever, we would save a copy of the project so that we can review it at a further date, pass it on, email the file to a colleague or to a client to review.